All right, Deadleg, I got Duke ranked 5th in the top 25 and 1. How you feeling about Jon Scheyer's first year as the head coach at his alma mater?
We're going to do a little game here in a minute. That's going to take a trope from our buds over at the Cover 3 podcast. They've been doing plenty of look-aheads and previews, team previews, conference previews for the college football season, and they've got win total special. So we will do win totals on this one with Duke in the regular season. But before we get there, I was interested to see, what Duke was before K got there. This is a massive changing of the guard. I think it might even take a bit for Duke and for the press and for fans to get used to the fact that when the Blue Devils are on television, Mike Krzyzewski won't be on the sidelines. In fact, he said a couple of times he'll be at Duke games next season. I'm confident of that. But he has said, he's not going to be at every one, and there'll be plenty that he won't be at, and he probably is going to want to intentionally avoid some of the spotlight there. But it's going to be weird. No K on the sidelines for Duke, and Scheyer's going to be in command and making the calls and running the whiteboard and every timeout and all that good stuff. And as someone who got to sit literally right behind Duke's bench for its Elite Eight win to get to the Final Four, and I saw actually Scheyer commanded one huddle and K did most of it. On a personal, professional note, it was awesome to get to see K basically tear into his guys. Like you would have never thought like he was like a game away from having his career done. He was a fiery presence there. Duke before K took over. This was a little surprising to me. If you're a Duke diehard, you're aware of this, but I wasn't. This wasn't at front of mind. I knew it made that run in the late 70s. It was good, but the season before Coach K took over, Duke was a 24-9 team under Bill Foster and made the Elite Eight. We could set the over-under. Will Duke win as many as 24 games in Scheyer's first year, and will it go as far as the Elite Eight, which is, of course, it went one game beyond that last season. I don't know. 3 seasons leading up to K getting the job, though, GP, 73-24, made the NCAAs each year. Duke was number 1 in the AP poll 2 of the 3 years before K got there, and in the other season, it got as high as number 7. I only bring that up to say, as a reminder that Duke was a proud program before Krzyzewski got there. It's just that Mike Krzyzewski elevated it to a national presence and arguably the best program in the entire sport. That's what Scheyer is inheriting. You've got Duke highly ranked. If you want to have some skepticism, you deserve it. Scheyer's never coached a game. Now, we did ask a question a year ago in our Candid Coaches series to 100 coaches or so, who's going to be in a better spot 5 years from now? Duke under Scheyer or UNC under Davis. And at that point, I want to say it was like a 70-30 almost split there. I think that number would be lesser if we asked it today. But Scheyer hasn't coached a game, and he has more turnover from a roster standpoint than any other power conference coach comfortably. Kansas is kind of close, according to Torvik's data, but it's Duke by far has the most roster turnover. There's some good guys there, GP, but We'll see how Scheyer adapts from having been the lead recruiter on all these players that are going to be playing this season. He was a big factor in Duke coming off of, you mentioned the names. Duke just sent 5 guys to the NBA draft. We mentioned this on draft night. That was a program record. Duke has with regularity sent 2-3 guys into the NBA draft into the first round, but it had never had 5 NBA picks and 5 first round level kind of picks. That's a lot to lose. I swear I'm not going to make this a continually running thing. And at some point I got to put my name to it and rank these teams. I do think you have Duke too high. With that in mind, let's go win total. Just regular season, 31 games, not counting the ACC tournament, GP, not counting the NCAA tournament. Win total for the regular season. Knock on wood. We don't have, hopefully this will be the first time since, I guess technically GP 2018-19 that the regular season will be literally unaffected and untouched by COVID-19, because even 2020 lost some regular season games technically with that, I believe. If they can play a 31-game regular season schedule, how many does Duke get in its first season under Jon Scheyer? And I have the non-conference. If you want that as aid, I have the non-conference ready for you and the listeners. But 31 games, how many are they getting to? W's.
Well, they had 26 wins in the regular season last season. They went 26-5. I would take the under on that. I would go under 26 simply because so many new pieces. I think North Carolina's going to be the pick to win the ACC, so they're not going to be a projected conference champion. They were conference champions last season. Let's go 23-8.
23-8 going into the ACC tournament. Here's the non-con schedule before I give you my answer. They open with Jacksonville, then USC Upstate, then they got the Champions Classic against a Kansas team that sets up as a potential top 10 matchup, of course. Then home again, Delaware and Bellarmine. Yes, this is looking like a bit of a Coach K schedule, but then it does get challenging. PK 85 over on the other coast. They'll start with Oregon State, then they'll play either Xavier or Florida, which means that will be a matchup between new coaches and new spots. You know, Sean Miller and Todd Golden going against Jon Scheyer, depending on how that shakes out. And then Duke could play Gonzaga in a PK 85 title game. If not, if either, if losses happen along the way, Purdue or West Virginia would be the teams that kind of line up for Duke there. Portland State is a long shot, but those are PK 85. They'll come home, play Ohio State in the ACC Big Ten Challenge. That's a home game for Duke this season. They'll get Iowa at Madison Square Garden, Cameron Indoor North in the Jimmy V. And then their final non-con game is on December 10 against Maryland Eastern Shore. That's 11 non-con games, 20 ACC games for 31 total. I will go 22-9. I almost went 23-8, but considering you've got Kansas, Ohio State's going to be good. It might be tough for OSU to get a win in Cameron. I get that. But then like PK 85, it's not inconceivable they take on a couple losses and then consider the ACC regular season slate. They got to go on the road and play UNC, Miami, Virginia Tech, and Virginia. Those are 4 teams that I think would comfortably, objectively register as NCAA tournament contenders, GP. Syracuse on the road is also in there. We'll see about that. And then there's, they got to play, obviously, Carolina twice. And there's, I don't know. I think there's a lot, considering how much turnover there is, Scheyer's first season, I don't know. I could be selling a little bit low here, and that's why I think you've got him a little high. 23-8, I think is probably the sweet spot there. I'd be surprised personally, given the schedule and the ACC, which I think should be pretty good. Anything that's 25 wins or better going into the ACC tournament would surprise me, but we're right there. So I guess unofficially for listeners at home, if you want to play our game, we've got them at 22.5 regular season wins over under. GP at 23 and me at 22.
After hearing you go through the non-league schedule, I might tick it up a game or so.
Ooh, okay.
Like that non-league schedule doesn't scare me. I think they're at least on paper better than Kansas. Now, Bill Self is arguably the greatest active coach in college basketball. And so given that Jon is entering his first year, you'd have to reasonably put a check mark in the Kansas column there. But I think Jon's going to have better players. And so I would pick Duke over Kansas on a neutral court. Obviously, I'm picking Duke over Iowa in the Garden. I'm taking Duke over Ohio State in Cameron. I'm taking Duke in all those bye games. And PK 80, let's say they go 2-1. Like I think that's so
you got them at 10-1 going into ACC play. I feel like
yeah. How about that? I don't think they'll go 10-1, but I bet you they'll be something like favored in 10 games.